that exists like that to this day, that people love and revere, and they sell out stadiums.
That's not you though.
That's not me, no. I've wrote by the way, all my biggest songs and any song that really, really did damage for me, I've wrote every single lyric. So that like
the hits, yeah.
The hits and the ones that you would like. It's like I'm not gonna collaborate with somebody on any of the timestamp records. I'm not collaborating. I'm not collaborating with anybody on, you know, Marvin's Room or, you know, like the R&B records that are, you know, other than me and Party. Like I love working with Party.
When you say the timestamp records, that is like the MC, like the bars, right?
Yeah.
Those are like. So I think the idea was like try to discredit you as an MC that all of that doesn't come from your pen.
Of course.
You're saying that comes from your pen.
But again, curated by the people who are ready to see the downfall of Drake. So again, just another little like, let's try this angle, you know? It's really like I said, I've done studio sessions with people. When I collaborate with people, I always send the idea first. You know, I'm the one that picks the beat and goes, yo, here, just put a verse on this and take that for your album, your single or whatever. You know, I put work in. People know me. I'm good for it. You know, so that's why I'm never really stressed about like that narrative. It's cool. It's fun. Again, it's cool for like memes and people that want to laugh and all that dumb shit. But
how do you feel in that moment of Meek sort of putting that out there and then everything goes crazy, right? A guy that was your friend, you know, things get a little hectic with you guys at that point, right?
Yeah. He was. I think he was in a bad mental spot, and he just made like a decision to go crazy. You know, it was. If I remember correctly, it was based on a show that I didn't show up for. That was like the tip of the iceberg. I think we had a little miscommunication, and he was under the impression that I'd confirmed that I was pulling up to one of his shows, and I think it was maybe one in Philly, and I didn't show up, and you know my management or somebody reached out to say I wasn't coming, and I think you know that being coupled with whatever you know conversations were happening amongst him and his lady, and you know him just kind of getting this idea maybe I don't fuck with him or whatever. And, you know, he'll tell you himself he wasn't in the best mental spot at that time. And, you know, I think he just took a hard left and decided to just go for it and felt like he had enough ammunition to maybe, you know, put a major dent in my armor or decapitate me, you know? And again, I'm really good at channeling that negativity and those pressures into pushing me to a next level where I go into a calculated reactive space.
Charged up, back to back. You almost took the bully position. Like, where y'all at? Like.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like, you know, in that moment, I just felt like, all right, well, if we're talking about music, let me just show you better than I can tweet you, you know, or better than I can text you. I'm just gonna show you what I'm about. And I don't think anybody really expected me to just jump out there and defend myself and go first. And
twice.
And second. So yeah, I think, you know, Charged Up was a thing that, you know, I was just seeing if it was real. I was just seeing if it was, because you know, you never know how calculated someone's plan is. Maybe they've been sitting on the record for 6 months, they hated you all this time, and they just want to fry you. And so Charged Up was my way of being like, you know, is it real or is this just like a sporadic like outburst? You know, I just wanted to know if it was real, if it was a package or if it was just like maybe like a mistake on his part, you know. And I started to realize that it was
taking an adversarial stance in a sense.
Yeah, and then I had made the decision that I was gonna go again, and I remember I was working on some beat. I think it was like a Boy Wonder beat or something like that, and it was like kind of more like rappy, you know. It was gonna be another like 100-bar thing, and I was with Serena at the time, and we had been talking a lot about her and Sharapova going back and forth over the years, and she had made this comment to me, and she was like, "Well, look, if you're gonna go again, you know, that like, she's like, that beat that's on in there, it's just that she's like, you gotta finish it. And you know, she's a top competitor.
Right.
So she was like, you gotta finish it. Like, I'm talking about done, over. And it's gotta be something that everyone that he's with and him have to hear.
Can't ignore it.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't do some shit that's just for the moment and then it goes away.
Yeah.
She kind of put this battery in my back, funny enough. And then at the time, just, you know, again, timing.
Yeah.
This kid Dax walked in the studio and never met him before. Played a beat, and that was the first beat.
Right.
And it was slow. It was super slow. It was way slower than it was. And then I told 40, like, yo, speed it up a bit. And that was just when we heard that. I just went into demon mode.
Right.
Yeah, and then, you know, I really, you know, I don't like to glorify the situation or talk about it too much, obviously, because, but I'm just giving you the background on how it happened. But, you know, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, yeah, my record was something. You know, it's
the reconciliation. I mean, the Boston show, you bring him out. Like, a lot has happened after that battle, right? Yeah. I mean, you could do a whole 30 for 30 on that that battle, right? But
well, yeah, I mean, by the way, you know, also these things go to another place, right? So, you know, one thing I could tell you firsthand is like, you know, Meek's not a pretender. He's not a joker. He's not like beefing with some of these other rap guys where it's like their story's all made up and they're really not, their character's not like that. Meek's really about that. And so, you know, and I can tell you firsthand, straight up, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, I know obviously he's made a change in his life, but I'll be the first to tell you that. Meek's that guy for real. So it's like, I wasn't beefing with no punk,
right?
You know? And it's like, yeah, for us to be able to turn that around was a big thing. I think we both felt an obligation just to everybody that had eyes on us, all these young kids. We had to turn that around because we know how far it was going, and almost went, you know. So
we talk about reconciliation. You obviously have Chris, Meek, Tory, Puff to an extent, you know, and things have been exasperated by Pusha. At this point in your career, in your life, do you think you could ever squash things or mend things with him?
Well, you know, I'm at a great healing place in my life, which is why all those people you mentioned, that I really never, when I really break down the issues, when I started to sort of stop thinking from such a confrontational, paranoid, violent standpoint, I started to just really break down, what's our issue again? What is this over again? Like, it's over a fight we had in like 2009, or it's over it's over the fact that we're from the same city, or it's over, you know, I was able to mend a lot of those situations. A lot of people ask me like, yo, why? Like, why are you doing this? Why would you do it? And I wanted my closest friends to know that it's for me, you know? It's got a lot to do with me. It's not a fun life when you're like just in a lot of beefs with people. You know, you gotta check on who's gonna be at an event. You start moving different. You start, you know, I was changing as a person, becoming a guy that was, you know, definitely willing to do some terrible things, definitely moving with a different energy. And, you know, like I said, it's just not a fun life when you have to just look over your shoulder all the time. Or wonder, you know, all right, if this goes left, which one of my friends is gonna go sit for 2, 3, 4, 10 years? You know what? Like, it's just not. It's not a good way to live. In that particular situation that you're talking about, don't know. I have no desire to ever mend anything with that person, and yeah, that situation just went. You know, it just went where it went, and it's just there is no turning back. It's not like those other situations that you mentioned.
Did Pusha go too far by revealing the child and presenting that to the world?
Well, I'll say this: I tip my hat to the chess move. I mean, it was a genius play in the game of chess, and definitely, you know, warranted my first quote unquote, you know, loss in the competitive sport of rapping. By choice, obviously, because I bowed out after realizing like the gap between us allowed him to drop, you know, a bomb on the world that that really became, that was all anyone cared about. You know, I sleep well at night knowing I didn't get out-barred and I didn't get, you know, dunned off by some crazy song that it was just, you know, he told the world that the biggest artist at the time has a kid that he hasn't told you about. So I knew kind of for me it was over at that point. It wasn't even about battle rap or any of that. It was just the information was too shocking. It was, like I said, on his part, it was a genius chess move. He obviously has no, like, you know, when it comes to me, he's not gonna have any like morals or respect. So the other elements of the record, whether it be like just like the shit that he's making up about my mom and my dad and all this like dumb shit, or you know, obviously the part that hit me the most, which is like, you know, wishing like that my friend that has an illness like dies. Like that shit to me is just not really wavy. Like I'm just not really with that. Like, and when I did say, oh, there's rules to this, I didn't mean there's rules that anybody has to follow. But like in battle rap, you know, they just headshotted that guy the other day because he was on stage and he pulled out a picture of the guy's dead aunt and started rapping about, you know, that type of shit. And it just is what it is. There's a point where you're gonna wanna stop rapping. I'm sure I could say something about, you know, your lovely lady or, you know, a child or a family member, and you're just gonna wanna not really rap anymore. Yeah, so that's just kind of where I got to. I just had to admit, like, yo, I'm really, you know, and when I was making the record in response, which was a real record, I know people think it's like some myth. It was like on this Vinyls beat, and I just found myself saying things that like one seemed really out of character just because I was like deeply invested in the situation and getting very angry, and saying things that I don't know if in 2 years I'd want to hear myself say. And yeah, I just realized that like nobody cares about this guy, so there's not really much I can say better than Drake has a baby. He won, you know, he won off that bomb, you know, and so again, you know, it's a dub that like, you know, he could take it.
Was that true that you wanted to reveal the child with Adidas campaign and things like that?
I wasn't. I had at the time I was working with Adidas, and we were toying with the idea of a name being the play off of a name. Off of my son's name. I wasn't revealing my son with Adidas, or like I wasn't gonna have my son like in the fucking, right. But yeah, no, I was just, you know, to be honest with you, I actually did a DNA test for my son, and they came back to us and they said that the DNA test got ruined in transit, and that they couldn't be 100% sure that that was my son or not. So I was in a really weird pending situation where I didn't want to go tell the world that was my son, and it wasn't. So, and if you see my son, you understand why.
I'm mad. Here's the thing. You went in the shop. You showed everybody a picture. B-Dot said he seen the picture.
You showed it to me.
I thought we were cool, Drake.
Yeah,
I gotta see a picture.
But yeah, no, if you see my boy, you'll understand. Like, you know, at the time I was like, I mean, he's just a stunning child, you know, with the brightest blue eyes. And at the time I was like, I don't know. But you know, it actually wasn't until a week before the album came out that I got confirmation that was definitely my son. It took me 2 more solid tests with 2 different companies. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't like all the details of his record are all just like fabricated, so just to make it more interesting. The story's actually not really that interesting. The biggest part of it is that I have a son. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm hiding him and I still, by the way, I still won't post my son because the world's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah. Right.
And like, you know, I'm in a co-parenting situation. Anybody that's in a co-parenting situation understands that you have to split time between 2 locations. So I can't always be there to make sure he's good. The last thing I want to do is have people running around going crazy trying to get my son and do all the crazy shit that they do to me here, showing up outside and with, you know, voodoo dolls and naked pictures.
But do you feel like maybe you kind of crossed the line?
That did happen the other day, brother.
Oh my goodness.
Somebody did pull up with some nudes.
What, of you or so?
No, of me. No, like of them.
Oh.
No, they pulled up with like some nudes and we had to burn them in the backyard.
Oh, my
'cause
goodness.
I felt the like Obia energy.
It's like a seance. But do you feel like you crossed the line when you talking about Pusha? You mentioned his woman, you know, the Duppy freestyle. Like,
he has a point. He can say, yo, you brought up my lady's name. Oh, all bets are off the table. That's fine. You know, like I said, we all think differently, right? And even like, you know, even in the me and Meek situation, if you listen back to those records, and it's something that we talked about before too. If you listen back, it's, you know, we didn't really go that crazy on each other.
Yeah.
And we left Nick out of it, and we left kind of family out of it for the most part. Like it's
both
just
knew each other, more stuff about each other that you didn't go to also.
Yeah, it's whether there was information that didn't get revealed or not. The point is like there's just some unwritten rules in the sport for some people. Obviously not for him, and that's fine, you know. And he's just made an entire career off of it, you know. And some people like his music. I personally don't, because I don't believe any of it. And I like to listen to guys that I believe. But
you were a Clips fan. You had the sign mic and all that stuff. So
yeah,
how was that to have that?
I still have it upstairs.
Idols become your rivals, right? And like, I guess to genuinely lose respect for someone.
Yeah, but it's also, you just get to peek behind the curtain too, right? It's like, you know, when I was, whatever, 16, thinking that he was the biggest dope dealer in the world, serving bricks to every corner of America. Yeah, sure. I'm sure I was, you know, again, a fan and obviously more so just a fan of like Pharrell and the Neptunes. I always wanted to be signed to Star Trek and stuff like that. That was like the wave. But yeah, I mean, you know, now that I'm grown up and I actually know him and the truth is just kind of like, I don't know, it's not as appealing as it once was.
Do you look at it though as like a sidebar almost to the biggest conflict, which is the ups and downs of your relationship with Kanye West at the end of the day?
I think that that's where all of this kind of stems from. It's all kind of rooted in that situation. Yes, you know, I think that he definitely recruited a guy with a similar dislike for me, no matter what he says in interviews. You know, I know that he can tell whoever, you know, I got love for him and whatever, but it's not love. You know, it's there's something there. That bothers him deeply. And yeah, I can't fix it for him. So it just is what it is. I can never, ever, ever, ever turn my back on the things that I've said about him in a positive light, and I still feel all those same things.
You picked him up earlier in this conversation.
Yeah, he's still my, you know, obviously, with the exception of Lil Wayne, just because Lil Wayne will always just forever be like something else other than one of my favorite artists. But you know, and if I look at Hove as like the guy who truly probably shaped majority of my thinking, skill set, all those things, I would say that Kanye West would be my favorite artist. You know, all around. You know, and that's just facts. I mean, I have no problem saying that. It's not like you know, I'm always willing. Like I said, I'm always willing to give the love and the credit. But yeah, things have just changed. I'm not just some kid that's a fan anymore. And now we have personal situations. And like I said, a lot of his issues with me, I can't fix them for him.
But would you be open to communication?
No, not really, because it's not on my end. I have no problem with any of these guys. I don't even know these guys like that. I have no problem with these guys.
One last thing though, with Sicko Mode as a song, it seemed like in December he went on a Twitter rant and he started to feel like those lines were directed at him.
Of course, though. Of course. I'm not, like, I can't lie to you. Of course they were. But it's also, you know, like I said, this is a sport at the end of the day, and you know from a very early point, I've never shied away from defending myself. And I'm also sometimes eager to engage if I feel that you want to be slick or be offensive behind the scenes. I might choose to address it in music. And you know, that was how I ended myself up in the Pusha situation, which, you know, some of my favorite fighters in the world, you know, take a guy like Nate Diaz. You look at his record, it might not look like the craziest record, but you know, he's still one of my favorite fighters. He's still a dog, and that's just the sport of fighting. You know, somebody's gonna catch you at some point. You know, unless you're Floyd, pretty much, you know. But for the rest of us, you know, you're gonna get you know, rocked one time by something you didn't expect. So that's just kind of how I chalk that situation up. And again, you know, learn from it, channel it into something else. And right now, I'm in a space where, I mean, those guys don't come outside. I don't see those guys anywhere. So like, it's not the same as when I was beefing with Chris or those guys, they hide in God knows where and they don't come outside unless it's like an event with like security and shit like that. So I you know, for me, I'm at a great place in my life where it's just like, you know, my life is about peace. My life is about drinking espressos and wine. I'm trying to make this album.
Right.
I'm enjoying being a father. I'm enjoying my house. And my mind isn't plagued by beef, though.
Do you think Sicko Mode was your final thing on it, in a sense? Like in terms of your final statement about him or the camp or and everybody in general? Because that record went #1 like last year, and it seems like this year you're in a whole different zone and like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, he, you know, he's. God bless him on his new journey, but he's making like, I don't even know if he's ever gonna make like secular music again or not. I don't know which one is non-secular, secular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, if he turns up on me again, I'll turn up on him again, I guess. Like that's just what it is. I'm always down. And yeah, just is what it is, I guess. It's not something I really like, I'm looking forward to or like thinking about too much, but I'm also like, I'm not just gonna sit by while somebody's, you know, just talking loose about me or whatever I have going on. So yeah, I guess it is what it is. I mean, it never fails.
Right.
Something will come one day. But knock on wood, I pray that I stay in this place of peace because I'm enjoying it more than a lot of the past years that have been, like I said, plagued by confrontation and just, you know, it's dark clouds, man. It's negativity and like, I
went from never hear a reply from it to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Free smoke.
But you like the sparring though, you know, because like you say you take shots with the GOAT. You talk about the shots that you sent with Jay-Z. Like, why has that relation remained intact? Why has it never gone left?
I think that we have. I think Jay has a lot of respect for me, and he's aware of the massive amount of respect that I have for him at the end of the day. And I think we both enjoy we both enjoyed our moments of, you know, him, you know, checking the young boy and me trying to be like, nah, I'm here, you know, like.
Any lines that stick out to you? You'd be like, oh, I know what you were talking about.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, there's plenty. You know, and that bar from that song is a real thing. You know, we met up and really spoke about all our jabs and fallouts and you know what prompted some of those things and you know but
which song was that you said? Which one?
No,
we're talking about
Survival.
Talking about the bars that we
Survival.
send in.
Survival.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it was great. It was a really important moment for us, and I think from that point on we haven't really engaged again in anything, and I don't think I'd want to at this point because with everything that's going on, you know, we're losing so many people, and I do think it's really important that we, you know, as wrapped up as you can get in this competitive side of things, I do think it's important that when you have that much respect for somebody, or somebody has that much of a, you know, a fingerprint on who you are as a person, it's just important to start showing it. So I also had to man up and just realize like, yo, this is Hov, and like, you know, I gotta like, you know, while I'm here, while he's here, while all these other people are here watching, I gotta at least, you know, pay my respects. So.
How did Talk Up come about? You ended up putting him on there. I was surprised to see that. I was like, oh.